everyone. Welcome to One More Step to Wellness. My name is Juliet Nelson, and I am delighted that you're here. Today, we're talking about something that is very present, very real, and truly human. How do we manage our emotional health in the aftermath of a disaster like Hurricane Melissa? And how do we now build balance and strengthen our resolve and embrace resilience in light of this? Our mental health matters now more than ever. So it is important that we pause for a moment, truly understand what we're facing and how we must maintain this moment. What can we do day by day, step by step, that will build a future that promises hope, that gives us something to look forward to and to reinforce our why? Why do we now need to fortify ourselves mentally to be prepared for what is to come? Disasters shake us to the very core. And it is not easy. Every day presents with its own challenges. And there are the challenges that are here today, the challenges that we cannot see that will come tomorrow. And the future, yes, it may look uncertain. But I'm here to say there are some aspects of our health that must be noted in this moment. It is important now for us to understand what it is that is going to be required and how we can build a sense of community, stay connected, and how we can move forward together as one. When we think about what we have come through, considering the disaster that has just presented, Hurricane Melissa, we know that disasters, they shake us, they unsettle our routines, they challenge our sense of safety, and they stir up fear, grief, and uncertainty. And yet, even in these moments, we have tools, simple, accessible tools that can help us maintain balance and resilience. I just wrote this in my journal and I read that for you, and I'm going to say it again. Disasters shake us. They unsettle our routines. They challenge our sense of safety and stir up fear, grief, and uncertainty. And yet, even in these moments, we have tools, simple, accessible tools that can help us maintain balance and resilience. Today, I am going to walk with you through the 8 dimensions of wellness to help you understand how day by day you can start to pick up the pieces, no matter how small those pieces, and go one step at a time, up the hill or down in the valley, one step at a time. First, I want you to know that you must normalize your feelings. What you're feeling right now, it's almost like an emotional storm. You're going to feel this, and it is normal. You're probably going to feel a sense of fear. You're going to feel anxious. You're going to feel hopeless. You're going to feel like all is lost. You're probably going to feel some exhaustion. You're just tired. You're going to feel some anger. You're probably going to feel some physical numbness. These are normal. It is just the brain protecting you. So when you're feeling these kind of feelings, just know you're not alone. And this is the expectation, that you should feel this way. If you felt otherwise, we would have to question that. After all, many of these disasters that present on our doorstep, it's nothing that we live day in, day out. These are occurrences that we did not know that at some point in our lives we would have experienced these things. So this is normal. Whatever you're feeling, it's totally fine. What you're going to do with the feelings that you're having now is the most important thing you can do. You're going to take a look at your coping skills. What is it that you have gone through in the past that has come through for you? And it just seems to work. And after you have looked at those strengths that you have had, that over time they just work for you, and those things that cause you to feel worse, that puts you in a place of vulnerability, or you just feel like you want to give up, you want to know what those are too, because those are some things you have to now work on and pull from other areas that allow you to get back to the center. So you're not carried away too much into the weak areas, which gives you less hope and causes you to feel negative. You want to always come back to the center and reconnect with the strong things that you noted about yourself in the past, where if something had happened to you before, or even an example for someone else who may have lived an experience, who have told you that there are some things that can be done that they, had used to feel better, use the same thing if you think they will work for you. So first, we're going to examine those 8 dimensions of wellness, because there are 8 areas of health that helps us maintain balance in our everyday lives. First, we're going to take a look at emotional wellness, right? And what is really emotional wellness? It's really about the way you feel. You're feeling a thing. You may be feeling something that I mentioned earlier, whether it's anger, numbness, feelings of guilt, which we call survivor's guilt. You might be feeling all kinds of things. I want you to name that emotion. Name it. If you're feeling anxious, name it. This is anxiety. It's anxiety. And say it. It's okay. I'm feeling depressed. I am feeling sad. What is that emotion you're feeling? You must name the emotion. And that is the first step towards managing your emotions. The second is give yourself permission to feel. If you have to cry, give yourself permission to cry. Feel the emotion. Do not run away from it. Because even personally, when I take a look at what has happened to so many after Hurricane Melissa, there are so many tears that I have shed. My heart aches for some of the things I've witnessed: the hunger, the homelessness, the loss of goods, services, stuff, which we all know for sure can be replaced. Nonetheless, we feel those emotions. Use grounding tools. That is the third step with managing your emotions and getting back to the center that I just talked about. Use grounding tools. Sometimes it is important to just take a deep breath. Just breathe. I hear many folks say, I am grateful that I have life. Powerful. I am still alive despite my house blown away. I am still alive. What about journaling? I just read something from my journal earlier about what happens to all of us when we experience a disaster. I want you to grab yourself a little bit of a notebook or a piece of paper or something and write down the emotion that you're feeling. Write it down. If you are not able to tell someone in the moment, if you can find something to write, just write it down. Start to keep a collection of your thoughts over time. Notice those thoughts and just do not judge the thoughts. Remember, you're dealing with something that most of us have never experienced before. Stepping outside, even for a little bit of fresh air, if you get a chance to do so, just do that. There are many folks who are actually sleeping in wide open air. They have no option to step outside anywhere. Just being able to step outside of a building right now to get some fresh air allows for a moment of gratitude. Talk to someone. talk to someone, talk to a friend, stay within a community of folks where you're able to communicate your feelings. And a professional always comes in handy. Connecting with a professional to talk about your feelings is also important. I am not in denial here. I know that there are a lack of mental health professionals all over this world, not just in one country, all over the world. We cannot find enough mental health professionals to help to manage some of the conditions that exist and the emotions that are out there that folks need to talk about. So mental health professionals are not readily available many times, right, for us to tap into those services. But if you have access to one, please begin that journey today. That's one step that you can take to grounding and managing your emotions, just talking to a professional. And in addition to that, just so you know, connection is also medicine. Don't forget that. Let's take a look at physical wellness. That is a second of the 8 dimensions of wellness. I just talked about emotional wellness. Now we're talking about physical wellness. Disasters interrupt routines, including sleep and eating. Most people don't want to eat. Even if you're hungry, you're so numbed from the shock and the major change that has come your way that you do not even have an appetite. Not to mention sleep, if you're sleeping in the wide open air. Can you imagine that? Your body, however, need stability. So your body really does need stability, and it is important for you to ground yourself physically, because unless you do that, we run the risk of developing very chronic conditions. So taking care of our physical body is important, and here are some pointers for you. Hydrate regularly. If you have access to clean drinking water, it don't have to be juice and sweetened drinks, just water. Keep your body hydrated. Try to eat balanced meals when you can. Rest. Try to get good sleep. Your nervous system restores during sleep, so sleep should be a priority. Gentle movement like stretching, walking, and slow breathing also helps. Your body is the foundation of your emotional strength. They all lean into each other, these 8 dimensions. So it is important that we maintain emotional balance and physical wellness. Your body is the foundation of your emotional strength. The third dimension I want to talk about is social wellness. Disasters can isolate us, but recovery requires connection. So I want you to know this. You got to check in with neighbors, friends, and co-workers. If you're in a position to walk across your yard, go down the road, see how everybody else is doing, check in on them. A sense of community will foster healing. So you cannot recover from this by yourself. You all need each other in some way, shape, or form. Even if you never talked to your neighbor in the past, it's time for you to reconnect with your neighbor, because survival is going to depend on your connectedness. Reach out if you need help. Asking is a strength. It is not a weakness. Create moments of togetherness, even brief ones. So now here comes the church, the community center, the schools, the hospitals, anywhere that you can find to gather and to be one. Go there, find a place to go, get out of that space that you're in and go hear what everyone else is saying, so that you can have a sense of togetherness and realize that you're not alone. Occupational health is the next dimension that we're talking about today. So I mentioned emotional wellness, talked about physical wellness, we talk about social wellness, right? The connectedness, and now I'm talking about occupational wellness. What does that look like? Well, work may be disrupted. There are some folks who are still going back to work, but there are those who are, whether after a disaster, there are those who help us to regain normalcy, right? Like the folks who fix the power lines and the internet and the electric, and those who prepare food for us. There are many folks who still continue to work, but there are many of us who are not able to go back to work. So work is disrupted. It is stressful and it is overwhelming. Now, here are 4 pointers that you must consider if you have been impacted by any disaster. I'm specifically talking today about the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, that has disrupted lives in Jamaica and in the Caribbean, Cuba and Haiti. And was an impactful situation and still continues, and we still have not seen the true result of something like this. Work is disrupted now. We know that. Here are 4 things you can do now and just to be aware of when we think about occupational health and wellness. Set realistic expectations for yourself. If you cannot go to work, you realize that something happened, you cannot go to work. So be very realistic about that. Prioritize your task. Take breaks and pause when your body signals burnout if you are on your job. This is what relates to you now if you're on your job, okay? If you're helping others, remember, take care of yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So if you find that you're someone who, you're a service provider and you're entrusted now to take care of many others, especially for some of us who work in healthcare, it means that we also have to take care of ourselves. We need to eat well, we need to sleep, we need to hydrate, we need to take care of ourselves as if we're caring for others. You really cannot give the best of you to others when you are diminished. And so as it relates to occupational health, we have to be intentional about caring for myself. Filling my cup so that I can pour into yours. Let us look at intellectual wellness, because our mind needs stimulation and our mind needs structure. That's just how the brain works. So here are a couple points for you. Limit exposure to constant disaster news. It is hard, but it is important. You got to limit how many times of the day you stay tethered to the television news. Limit exposure to disaster news. Do not go searching for how many people are dead, how many people are going through the crisis, how many people are going through the worst of what could potentially happen from a disaster. It will coat your brain like glue, and it is going to affect your mood. Being aware is important, but the ongoing exposure to these kind of news can be very despairing, and it is not, it just does not lend to what you may need to do at that moment to take care of yourself and to step towards a healing process. Engage in calming activity like reading. Do a puzzle. Listen to some really good music if you're able to do so. Take a step away. Take a break. Pause, rest, and be at times. Practice mindful focus. Bring your attention back to the present moment. In other words, if you're sitting down next to a window having a glass of milk, tea, drink, or water, a cup of whatever. Stay in the present moment. Remind yourself that you're sitting comfortably in a place. You are enjoying the scenery. You're sipping a glass of something, and you're just right there in the present moment. Do not allow your mind to wander all around, thinking about all that is despairing. Bring your mind back. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and envision yourself being in a place of solitude, a place where you are enjoying yourself. Your mind is able to focus in that manner when it is trained to do that. So remember, you deserve pockets of peace. And this is the way to really calm the mind and to help you manage and come back to center. The sixth one I want to talk about in this moment is spiritual wellness. And I'm going to encourage you that whatever grounds you, just do it. Lean in on the things that have worked over time that helps. And because you have done it before, it has worked, and you would like to incorporate this in your day-to-day. Prayer, meditation, mindfulness, quiet reflection. Finding meaning in acts of kindness and service. What happens when you help others? You now benefit from feeling a sense of fulfillment. And this feeling is rich. It allows your mind to become a thing that just seems to allow the body to relax a little bit, knowing that you've just done good. So when you're able to practice acts of kindness, and I know many folks have now been giving back in different ways, right? They're sharing their gifts, their talents, their abilities, their money. They're, opening up the closets. They're taking out the clothes. They're giving stuff away. They're showing up to help rebuild homes. They're feeding. They're going into neighborhoods and feeding. I've seen where many folks, personal, who've owned restaurants in my parish, have cooked meals and have driven many, many miles to these areas that have been devastated to provide warm meals for the folks who have no food. So many organizations internationally have given to our people. This is such a blessing, and it is not just just giving for giving's sake. I look at this as a spiritual act. It is because so many folks did not have to open up their homes and their wallets and their restaurants. But it has to be an impression on the heart that causes you to step forward to help others. Connecting to community or cultural practices are also important. You got to draw from your faith. Find the folks who have always come to your church. Find the folks who have always been a part of your spiritual circle. And draw from each other. Come together now and forge stronger bonds even stronger bonds than what existed in the past. So there are many opportunities for us to pull from our spiritual health, that once was. See, we have to understand that sometimes we have to place spirituality and what we once understood in a bank so that whenever you're ready, you can pull from it. If you have had a level of faith in the past and your faith in or your belief in a higher power or God had come through for you in the past, how could you forget that this is no different? It is going to work out again. Let us now think about environmental wellness. What does this look like? Well, after any disaster, your environment will feel chaotic and it is going to feel unsafe. So what are some things that we can do now to create that space around us that can truly help with bringing us right back? Remember, we're talking about coming back to center. After a disaster, it is going to take a long time for us to get back to normal. So by no means are we going to go from point A to point B, all the way to point C immediately. It is going to require a number of steps. So we have to think about these things. We must prioritize. How are we going to practically get back to a place where we feel like we're even safe enough and there isn't as much chaos? It's just small incremental steps. 1, here are some points for you. Clean or organize a small space around you because it restores a sense of control. So even though you may be going through a period where, you may have lost everything, well, it is very possible for you to regain and restore some control by creating a small space around you that is comfortable enough for you to lay your head, or for you to store some of your prized possessions, or just create a small space around you. Even if you're sharing a space with a neighbor, or you're in a shelter, or even in your own home, just be sure that you have a space that lends to your peace of mind within that environment. Make your environment comforting. Light a candle, play soothing music. If you have, access to herbs, there are a number of herbs like lavender or mint or eucalyptus. Create something that appeals to one of your senses. Just make your space comfortable and lather that space with anything that allows you to feel comforted. Stay aware of safety updates and resources. Now, we talked about kind of just tethering ourselves to the news, but there are times when you must just be aware of anything that is changing in your environment. Just stay aware of it. Your awareness does not mean you're overly absorbed or obsessed, or you're just not all the time plastered with all this stuff ongoing. In other words, just be aware of what's happening. Know what you need to know, act on what you need to act on, and then just be well. We now have to look at financial wellness, and it's kind of hard to talk about financial wellness, especially when everyone finds themselves in a place of lack. There isn't much that is available. So why do we think about financial wellness? Is that even appropriate for this moment? Well, yes, it is, because it means financial worries not often arise after a hurricane, but it will arise. There are folks who will have enough resources to give, and there are those who have nothing at all and need everything. We have seen that now. There are those who cannot find the last penny to buy food, no water, no clothing, no shelter. So talk about financial wellness. We have to find a way to survive no matter what. Have a plan and utilize the resources that are given or accepted in a way that says, I am going to make the best of what I have now, because this is just what I have now until things get better. Does that I'm going to have to depend on folks for the next 6 months. That's a plan. Or for the next year, I'm going to be moving in with friends, family, relatives. That's a plan. Short term, long term, who knows? Don't be afraid to ask for financial guidance. Again, stress about money is understandable, but support exists. So reach out. There are some folks who just don't want to accept help from anybody at all. So I know it happens a lot. But this is not the time for us to be self-absorbed and, it's just this what we call false pride. We have to be very careful about that. So these are the 8 dimensions of wellness that we talked about earlier. Okay, we talked about emotional wellness, right? How we manage our emotions. Talk about physical. We talk about intellectual health. We talk about social. We talk about financial, environmental, and we talk about the physical. We have to think about these 8 dimensions because it is really what's going to ground us. Do not forget about spiritual wellness too, because that is really incredibly important. It is what is going to help us to come together as a community. Occupational health as well. If you're working, you're working. If you're not working, that's it. And for those who are working, who can afford to share, share. By all means, share. Open up your purse, open up your wallet, open up opportunities for others who are experiencing a period of lack. Again, I talked about the folks in my parish of Portland who have given so much, and not just my parish but all over Jamaica. I am so encouraged by what I see. Local folks, the international community, the diplomatic community, friends, family, folks who have never been to Jamaica are extending and opening up their arms to ask, how can I help? And we thank you. We thank you. I would like to say this as a mental health professional. I believe it is important for us to start thinking about our mental health now more than ever, because in the aftermath of any disaster, the toll on our mental health is palpable. And we have to have a plan as to how we're going to move forward now, managing what besets us now and what potentially could get worse in time to come. So I want to leave you on this note, and it is important that we understand what it is that we have to deal with. Now that we've talked about the 8 dimensions of wellness, I want to offer you some practical coping tools that you can utilize today. You do not need any gadget. You do not need to utilize any specialized equipment to practice them. These are practical tools that you can use to help yourself to come back to center for a moment and when you need it. Here they are, simple, effective tools that you can use right now. The 4-7-8 breath. What does that look like? You inhale at the count of 4. You hold your breath for 7 counts. And you exhale for 8. Repeat that 3 times. 4, 7, 8 breath. Do that 3 times, especially when your body is coming under such incredible tension and stress that you got to do something in the moment. Just breathe. I want you to know that there's another technique that you can use, and you can do this in the comforts of your home, wherever. You could be in bed, anywhere you are, just do it. It is name the emotion. Whatever you're feeling in that moment, just name it. And why do you name it? Well, say it out loud and face it. Tell it that you know what it is that's showing up, that's causing you such discomfort. So if you are anxious, you can say, I am feeling anxious. Just say it. Let anxiety know that you know that it's there. And what does this do? By naming the emotion and saying it out loud, it reduces the intensity of that emotion. So saying it out loud allows the intensity of that emotion to dissipate slowly. It's like you are taking off the layers of that emotion and bringing that emotion back to ground zero so it doesn't become bigger than what it is. Third technique, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Grounding technique. 5, connect to your senses. You got 5 of them, 5 senses. Connect with them. Look at 5 things you see, 4 things you feel, 3 things you hear, 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you taste. Your 5 senses will come through for you. If you just come back to the present moment, look for 5 things again that you see, 4 you feel, 3 you hear, 2 you smell, and 1 you taste. This works. This is rooted in good science. It works. So you should try it. And then last but not least, the 2-minute pause. Sit down, inhale deeply, and allow silence to settle your nervous system. It's a 2-minute pause. Sit down, inhale deeply, allow silence to settle your nervous system. I know that many folks at times find it very difficult to thrive in quietude, but this is rooted again in the science. The 2-minute pause works. It just helps you to gather yourself in just 2 minutes. My final message to you today. To everyone recovering from Hurricane Melissa, you are doing your best. You are strong even when you feel tired. And every small step toward caring for yourself is a step toward healing. Healing doesn't look the same every day. Some days you rest. Some days you rebuild. Some days you simply breathe. And all of it counts. So, today, I am grateful that you're here. I am thankful that you're able to join me here on One More Step to Wellness. And as you move forward now, I want you to know that you're not alone. We're all in this together. Thank you for joining me on One More Step to Wellness. If this episode helped you, I hope that you're able to share it with someone who may need support and guidance. It is important that we hear for each other as a community, and I want you to know that healing begins with one step at a time. Take care of yourself, be good, and until I see you again, share with someone, come back, subscribe to this podcast, this channel, where we will talk about practical things to manage your mental health using the 8 dimensions of wellness. Take care, walk good. Godspeed.